What is going on, y'all? Welcome to the Media Goose channel. I am the Media Goose, and the goose is loose, baby. Ha! I am here today for my first video back, and I am here to talk about Stranger Things. So as we all know, Stranger Things came to an end this year. Or, yeah, they dropped on New Year's Day, so this year Stranger Things ended. And it brought up a lot of feelings about the way the story concluded, about the characters, and about how we got to the final season. So I really wanted to go back and review each season and share my thoughts. Just to kind of go back now with everything on the table. All of the pieces of the game have been revealed, and now it's fun to go back and see what was being laid out from the beginning and what did they have to kind of rewrite and retcon things to make sense for, like maybe Vecna. But we'll get to that in season 4. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this talk about Stranger Things season 1. So the three things I'm going to talk about most in-depthly are going to be the amazing cast of characters that were written so beautifully, the use of nostalgia, and the way that it's implemented as a craft as opposed to a skin or an aesthetic that is just surface deep. It's a feeling in this show. And then lastly, the horror. The horror and the thriller-like aspects of this show are just breathtaking. The first scene of the show, as a doctor in the Hawkins lab runs down a dark hallway, it really immediately sucks you in and gets you feeling the intense nature of what we're about to experience. And you hear, with the lights flashing as the guy runs down that hallway, you hear the monster, so you know what's coming. You don't know what it is, but you know something's coming. And then we cut to a game of D&D between 4 kids who really are the core and heart of this show. This group of kids, it evokes the feelings of the Goonies, of Stand By Me, of It, Chapter 1 when they're young. It evokes all of those amazing feelings. The group of kids is so dynamic. So first, let me focus on the characters. I'm going to start with the kids, that group of kids playing D&D. Mike, Will, Dustin, and Lucas. Those 4 are... Every kid growing up had a group of best friends that they stuck with, and you feel that with this group immediately. Each one has a very distinct personality. Mike is kind of the leader of the group. He's leading the game of Dungeons and Dragons at the beginning, and he is often the person contributing the most to keeping things moving forward. Then Dustin is kind of the goofball. He's a lovable dork. He's a know-it-all. He's a lover boy. In that first episode, he's definitely sweet for Nancy. And he is the heart of the friend group. Then we have Lucas. Lucas is so... For a kid his age, he's not afraid to really speak up for himself and share his thoughts. He is steadfast in the things he believes. He is fiercely loyal to his friend group. And that is, at times, it comes off as confrontational, but the entire time, his friends are what he's concerned for. And then Will. Will is... I mean, we just finished the show. He's kind of the lead of it. It's him or 11, really. Will is, right from the beginning of the show, presented as an other. Somebody that's different. They use words like queer and less appropriate words than that. They're not afraid to make you feel like it's the 80s. I'll save that for when I get to nostalgia. But that's our main kid group. Then we have teenagers. We have Steve Harrington, who every time they mention his name before he enters, it feels like a presence is being built to. Steve Harrington? Oh, Steve Harrington. It's It feels like this larger than life presence. And in season 1, man, he is as villainous as can be. He is the popular guy in high school. He is Steve Harrington. Then we have Nancy. Nancy, the teenage group, it feels very 16 Candles with them. And Nancy, she is the smart girl, but she's also pretty. So while she lives the nerd experience, Steve and her starting to fool around and become a thing kind of takes her from the world of being a nerd to being with like popular kids. And I think they handle that in a really beautiful way, because kids, when you're that age, you evolve and the things you want change. And the things you want to be associated with and the way you're perceived based on the people you're with becomes a big part of the choices you make at that age. And you see that with Nancy. The heartbreaking relationship between her and Barb, just because I've been that friend. I remember being the third wheel back in middle school when your friend tells you to come along just so that their parent will let it happen so that they aren't alone. And it's sad to see. It's really heartbreaking. And I think it's really effective the way this show with Nancy and Steve isn't afraid to let them make choices that are questionable, that are not the morally upright thing to do. Because these characters in later seasons, they're beloved. They're core parts of this show. So to see this season 1, the dynamics between them, it was really amazing. Even the way Steve's redemption wasn't handled romantically was brilliant. It wasn't a matter of him getting, like, straightening up to impress Nancy so that he could get laid, which is what we felt when Steve first showed up. And it's really powerful, the journey those two characters go on in this season. And the other character in that group is Jonathan. Jonathan is nurturing and empathetic. You can see that in the way that he cares after his mother, his brother. He's different. The moments of him taking the pictures from the woods, it's a little weird. But then he talks about how when he tries to talk to people, it doesn't go well. He gets made fun of. He gets picked on. He gets marginalized. The Byers family is just completely represented as different and like outside and other from the very beginning. And it's so powerful because the moments you get to share with them that nobody else sees are the moments that you see their true character. And I think the writing of that is brilliant. And now the adults, the two people I saved. Before I get to Joyce and Hopper, the Hawkins lab crew is perfect. All of the performances and the style of those characters is great. The one I'll talk about the most is Papa, Matthew Modine. The way he weaponizes the familial bond of having Elle call him Papa. Even though, I mean, maybe he did something awful to Elle's mother and he is Papa, but I think it's more likely that he's not, and that he is merely weaponizing the family facade to make Eleven subservient to him. And I wanted more from Papa for the rest of the seasons. We never really got as much as I'd hoped, but I thought Matthew Modine was incredible. And now Joyce and Hopper. Joyce and Hopper are like, I don't know, they're both on such sad and at times what feel like bleak journeys. Right from the beginning, Joyce is desperate, frantic. They really try to make you see her the way the town sees her, as crazy, as broken goods. It's also the 80s, and her and Lonnie are separated, so there's a perception that comes with that. And when I talked about that whole family being the others, this really gets played into in the way that people interact with the family. Like, oh, these people are crazy. You can't believe anything they say. And as an audience member, it's agonizing because you're seeing Joyce go through everything and nobody will believe her until finally Hopper does. And their journey together is really powerful. Hopper has a quietly devastating backstory with his daughter, and the way he isn't coping with that, and the way he isn't grieving properly, and then the way he fully puts himself into Will's case as if saving will somehow bring back his daughter. It's heartbreaking. It is poignant and powerful. It is just incredible. David Harbour and Winona Ryder are the rocks of this series. And I saved one character for last. 11. The most heartbreaking character in this season. They find her when they're out looking for Will. So they're looking for their friend, but they find something else. Elle introduces a heavy amount of the nostalgia I'm going to talk about, because Elle is basically E.T. If you watch E.T., E.T. is one of the pieces of nostalgia they really reference a lot, and there's a lot that they do with Elle that she is E.T. in this piece. The scene of her going around the house with nobody there is one, an homage to E.T., but also devastating. Watching a child walk around a shared family space when they have no reference of what a family is. And just Millie Bobby Brown's performance the entire time. It was devastating. A child who had their childhood taken from them from the moment they left the womb. She was weaponized by Papa. All of the flashbacks to her experiences. Horrifying. And she is the heart of this show. I think I said Will was that earlier, but this is 11's show. And I think part of the things I didn't love about season 5 got away from that. It was a much less focused story. And to me, 11 and Will are like your two big pieces that you should be moving forward with as characters. And season 5, I won't talk about season 5 yet. Let me hone in again. So that's the incredible cast of characters, and it's the foundation that everything is built on. And now I'm going to talk to you about something else I love about Stranger Things, nostalgia. And it's nostalgia done right. It's not a skin placed over everything. It's not a vibe. It's not skin deep. It is crafted. The nostalgia is a part of the storytelling, in the writing, in the camera work, in the dolly sweeps. It invokes feelings from these classics of the 80s, Nightmare on Elm Street, E.T., Poltergeist, all of these things that it is paying homage to, not by having a poster up in the background that somebody walks past, or somebody mentioning that they just saw something on the TV. No, it's in the way that it is shot, in the way that it is written, in the way that it feels. And to me, it's the best use of nostalgia I've seen. I'm a 90s kid, so when I was growing up, a lot of the things that this was based on, I was experiencing. I was taking in as content. So to go back and watch season 1, it makes nostalgia structural instead of, how do I put it? Instead of a card to be played. It's a part of the fabric of the show. It is the most honest use of nostalgia that I have seen. Like I said, usually it's just skin deep. It's bright colors and roller skates and bikes, and they do some of that. There are the bikes. There are a lot of those classic things, but I don't know that I've ever seen nostalgia used down to the level of writing, camera work, pacing, in the way that it was in this show. I mean, God, when the Demogorgon is coming through the wall, and I think it's Holly who... I have a lot to say about Holly in season 5, but winding back down. That homage to Freddy coming over the wall, and it's just beautiful. And the Hawkins Lab people feels very 80s in the way that governments were represented in the 80s. And it was just fantastic. Sometimes nostalgia feels like medicine, something you have to swallow and it doesn't go down smooth because it doesn't feel natural. Stranger Things felt like an homage to an era of filmmaking, not a cash grab. And that is one of the things that was really lasting for me about this show. And finally, I'm going to talk about the horror in this and just how effective it was. This show, it didn't have to be multiple months. It was one Demogorgon. Compare that to seasons 3, 4, and 5 when the stakes kept having to go up and up. Season 1 was just the Demogorgon. That shot where Will is riding his bike and the Demogorgon appears out of nowhere and all you see is its outline in the dark street is horrifying. Will's entire escape from the Demogorgon... Well, he doesn't escape. His entire run away from the Demogorgon is horrifying. The use of the upside down and the practical effects of the upside down that made it feel like an infection bleeding into our world was so effective. The way every time Hopper got close to the gate of the upside down, he was triggered into intense flashbacks of his daughter, Sarah. That is horror at another level. It's not slasher. It's not cheap. It's psychological. It's deeply embedded in the characters of this show, in the foundation that this show is built on. It's just incredible. It's when Will's body gets pulled, the show takes a real turn at that moment where you're like, what could even be happening now? I don't know what's happening. And the way they tie in Hawkins' lab and all of the worlds of the 3 worlds we've lived in, the kids, the adults, and the teens, all start to come together. It's incredible. And then that final episode when Hopper and Joyce are in the Upside Down, compared to season 5, where people are walking in the abyss without so much as a bandana over their mouth, these people are in head-to-toe hazmat suits. And the entire Upside Down is horrifying. Oh, and then the final scene where they find Will, and he has the tentacle jammed down his throat, and Hopper, all the way in his grief, has flashbacks of his daughter dying as the doctors pound on her chest, trying to resuscitate her as he is pounding Will's chest. It was incredible. I remember the music that was playing as that scene unfolded. It invoked the feeling of Spielberg movies, that wonder and awe. It paid homage to a time of film so beautifully. And when I talked about the characters earlier, the characters had arcs and resolutions. They learned. Hopper, at the beginning of the show, the cowboy, the old cowboy who had given up and couldn't cope, all the way to saving Will. It was incredible. Stranger Things Season 1 is one of the best seasons of television that I have ever watched. Mike and Elle's interactions through the whole show, how tender Mike is, in a way that he can't be with his friends. And the heartbreaking truth of that, it took Will, his closeted gay best friend, disappearing for Mike to start to thrive in his romantic side with Elle. It kind of tells you what's going to happen to Will at the end. He doesn't get the love that he deserved, in my opinion. Stranger Things is incredible. It pays homage to a time. It writes characters beautifully with fully realized and satisfying arcs. Stranger Things Season 1 is the best season of Stranger Things. I don't think my opinion on that is going to change. If you haven't watched this, I can't believe that's the case if you've made it this far into this video. But if you haven't watched it in a while, go back and watch it again. Spend time with these characters. Spend time in Hawkins, Indiana. It's nostalgic like a memory from your childhood. But then there's a blanket of danger over that childhood memory. Stranger Things Season 1. Thank you. All right, y'all. So that is my review for Season 1 of Stranger Things. Tell me what you thought down below. Who is your favorite character? Man, I hadn't even thought about that before right now. Probably 11, but also Will. Kid never gives up. He's always talked about as less by others, but he never gave up. It's a beautiful show, and I hope you enjoyed my review as much as I enjoyed making it. Hit like, drop a comment, subscribe. Let's go on a journey together. Thank you.